Do your major chords always sound like this guy? Well, with a little bit of practice and knowledge, you can sound like this. Today I'd like to talk about triads and how we can apply them all over the fretboard instead of always playing our basic open position chords way out of tune. So what's the difference between a triad versus a chord? Well, most guitarists probably think of a chord as like your basic open G chord. A triad is actually the notes that comprise a chord. So for G, the notes would be G, B, and D. Instead of just memorizing this shape and knowing that that's a G chord, you could put a little bit more thought into it and see a G, B, and a D. That's if you know the notes on the guitar. So in order to apply this across the whole fretboard, there's actually just a few shapes you can learn instead of memorizing every single note of the chord across the whole guitar. In order to find these shapes, we're going to limit ourselves to just these low 3 strings. And we're going to start with our G chord and pretend like these other 3 strings are off your guitar. So there we go, we'll start with G, B, D. And then let's see if we can still play a G triad as we go up the strings. So we just need those 3 notes, G, B, and D. So the next available note with the 6th string is going to be B. Next available note on the 5th string is going to be D. Next available note here will be G. So G goes to B, B goes to D, D goes to G. And now we've got this shape. So if you remember this one, pretend like you're fretting that open string so you can move it around later. But we've got that the first shape, which is root position, G. Then the next one starts with B. Now we'll keep going up the neck. So if this one was our B, the next note is going to be D. And then this D is going to go up to G. And then this G is going to go up to B. So there's our next shape. This one might look kind of familiar, like if you're playing with these three fingers here, like you would for a C chord with a G in the bass. Or it might look kind of like an E major chord, but moved up. Either way. Then you can take it up an octave. Now what's really cool about this is all of these 3 shapes we just learned are going to be the same on the next set of 3 strings. Except we do have to make sure that we start with the G root. So we can be here, and if we've got G, we'll jump up to B, and now that's the same as this one. And then we'll jump up to that next shape. But then you might run out of room, so let's see if you can do it backwards. We've got G, B, D. So what's the note before G? That would be D. So we'd have to start here. And if we remember that shape over here that was starting with D, then you can do it there. So if you're familiar with the cage system, all of these shapes are going to fit a shape that you are most likely already familiar with. For example, that very first one. It's based off the G shape, obviously, so you can play it up there. But that shape, like I said earlier, comes from the C over G shape. And then this one, which would be the G starting on the B, this one's a little bit weirder because normally when we play a D chord, most of us probably don't think about using the thumb. But that's going to be the same shape there. So it'd be like 2, 0, 0. or 7/5/5. So this next section, I'm going to have graphs showing every single 3-note voicing for a G triad across the whole guitar, and they're going to correspond to each caged form. So the first one is C, second is A, third is G, fourth is E, fifth is D. And for example, that one fits the D form. These melodic triads can really come to life when shared with another musician. Hey guy, could you lay down some chords for me?
Oh yeah, man, I got you.
Sweet, thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4.
That sounded pretty good, dude. Thanks.